Downs begins the core of Inside Bureaucracy with the ways bureaus are born, the struggle for their autonomy, how they continue to mature, and how they continue to grow until something kills them. Like a crab. Or a second metaphor. Bureaus are formed in a few ways. 1, it's a spin-off of an existing bureau. 2, spontaneous genesis because of a societal need. Or 3, a charismatic leadership's ideas being routinized, like with a religion. In all cases, Downs argues, there's a lot of zealots, people particularly dedicated to establishing this bureau for a specific function, and that all bureaus initially struggle to demonstrate that they're deserving of external support from donors or from politicians. Especially as the zealots are often more focused on performing the function of the bureau instead of ensuring its automated support, like with recurring government funding. Often, that's totally fine. If your goal is to distribute a polio vaccine or find Joseph Kony, you don't need ongoing support. You should just focus on accomplishing that function and then disbanding the organization. But a few bureaus do grow large enough that the more self-interested members want to ensure its survival, often to keep their jobs, and its social functions remain useful enough to warrant automatic external support. This normally means that bureaus that survive and become autonomous grew very quickly, very early, and provided a very valuable service. If they don't, they become susceptible to attacks from existing bureaus that want the same resources allocated to them, or want to provide the same or similar function. This rapid growth would naturally attract people who are interested in being promoted. If a bureau is growing, there's more promotions available, so ambitious people, motivated, innovative, strong performers are more attracted to and more common in a rapidly growing bureau. So much like a crab or that second metaphor, bureaus can't grow forever. Other bureaus fight for the same funding, or it starts encroaching on other bureaus' functions, or it might become unwieldy to manage, or it can't produce impressive results anymore. Eventually, a rapidly growing bureau will need to recruit less qualified or experienced individuals, and the average functional capability among its members will drop. Or it takes on other functions of which it's less apt to take on, and it can't continue to give those impressive results. And so a bureau will eventually stabilize in size or even decrease. Ambitious individuals leave or aren't attracted to the organization because of faster promotions elsewhere, slowly leaving a higher proportion of more risk-averse individuals and potentially an aging workforce of one particular age bracket. But growing a bureau is a really easy way to attract talent because they promote quickly. And it often increases the prestige and pay for the leaders that facilitated that growth as well. And it's often the only way to promote the people at the very top of the hierarchy. So there's usually an inherent self-aggrandizement where a bureau attempts to grow itself. This is a mature bureau. Perpetual growth and conflict with other bureaus to keep them in check. And they're not so bad. They have enough economies of scale and historical experience to perform routine tasks very efficiently. Mailing a letter from Vancouver to Halifax costs less than $1 with near certainty and exact timelines. Large, mature bureaus can resist negative external pressures well, and they can allocate more resources into research and development because they also have economies of scope. There's drawbacks, of course, and they're what most people think of when they think of bureaucracy. The structure of a mature bureau becomes more complex, internally focused, more codified, and more administrative over time. This reduces the speed at which it can innovate, but importantly, over time, more members become focused on sustaining the bureaucracy itself, on ensuring its survival, instead of performing its functions. But that's not always a bad thing either. People who want to keep the bureau alive, even just to keep their jobs, they play an important role. They're willing to change the bureau's formal goals to meet societal demands. For a bureau to continue providing valuable services, it needs to periodically adjust which services it provides. And that change is facilitated by having people who don't work directly in providing that service. I think a good example of this is the U.S. Secret Service. Their initial goal was to prevent counterfeiting, but because they had the administrators willing to adjust the goals and a desire to sustain or grow the Bureau, they were able to provide the president with close protection and eventually a host of other responsibilities as well, with obviously mixed results. If everyone's employment in a bureau relies on providing a specific function like counterfeiting suppression, eventually another bureau will provide those services better or cheaper, and that function will wane in importance and cause a decline in the bureau. But those declines are rare in mature bureaucracies, at least according to Downs, because they can adapt. Large, old bureaucracies have a very low death rate and really only die when their supporting organizations like governments or entire civilizations do as well.